Tom.
Here it comes.
You're Loki.
Mm-hmm.
How the heck did that happen?
It is the most improbable, unlikely, and perhaps even inappropriate thing. How did it happen? Let's go deep.
I'm listening.
We must go! Let go! No!
See you in hell, monster.
Hi.
Surprise!
I was in a play with Kenneth Branagh, Chekhov's Ivanov, and in the middle of the run of that play, he announced he was going to be directing Thor. I was playing a very priggish and self-righteous young doctor, looking not dissimilar to how I look today. And as a joke, in the interval, I ran upstairs and I had grabbed an empty water cooler and pretended it was Thor's hammer. It was a bad joke, but maybe the seeds of the trickster somewhere in there. Anyway, the following spring, I was in LA auditioning for everything. And one of the things I was auditioning for was Thor, and they were auditioning the title role, and I was up for Thor, and people know that. And then Kevin Feige said, how about Loki? And I said, that's great, and because actually I knew it was going to be a great part.
We always were putting our chips on Loki. We believed in him as a character. Had Tom not brought him to life in a way the audience responded to, it probably wouldn't have gone anywhere.
And I'm sat here today, and it's 2018, and I don't quite know how.
And then it became Loki Mania.
Yeah.
Guys, you look incredible. Can we hear it one more time for these guys?
Your character hit a spot with people that maybe you saw coming, but it just landed. I mean, t-shirts and posters and like tumblers that go on forever.
What was it like? The height of it was probably Comic-Con 2013. That was the height of it. I mean, Kevin Feige, I have to give acting credit to him, because we did this whole bit where he was coming out and saying, no one's here for the panel, and everyone started booing.
We're in post-production of a movie called Thor: The Dark World right now, which is...
And then they turned the lights off, and they thought it was a technical fault, and then out I come.
Humanity. Look how far you've fallen.
I was there and the room was on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, you knew it. The heat must have been like...
Yes. Partly, I put that down to surprise, in a way, that it was just a bit odd. It's a slightly odd thing to do.
I am Loki
And I did this ridiculous speech.
of Asgard,
It was mad.
and I am burdened with glorious purpose.
Pantomime, really.
Yes, but the best kind.
Okay.
And when there is a Loki pantomime, I'm buying all the tickets.
Okay.
I'm well into
Okay.
it.
I enjoyed it very much. It was bonkers.
Say my name!
I suppose what's interesting is I don't really look like him. So I at least have the relief of just not quite being him.
And you don't wear the horns on the street.
I don't wear the horns on the street. And so when people meet me, they're confronted by my kind of shattering ordinariness.
I'm a god, you dog creature.
Yes, you are.
Tom, hiya.
And realize that there's absolutely nothing that resembles anything divine or archetypal. I'm just a sort of like an overgrown ginger kid from Wimbledon.
I love the idea that people walk up to you and say, oh my God, it's Tom. And then they go, oh, it's Tom.
Ah, it's Tom. Yeah.
Go.
Bit of a shame. Kind of was expecting Loki there, but I've been to all sorts of corners of the world and everyone knows who Loki is. That's been an eye-opener. I'm sort of found a pocket of the planet that just is uninhabited, and somebody will pop up and say, hey, Mr. Loki. I'll be like, hello.
What was your first reaction when you had the costume fitting and they said, right, here is your crown, your antlers?
Yes.
Were you like, really?
Well, Chris Hemsworth and I were both cast in April of 2009, and we started shooting in January of 2010. And it meant that we had quite a long run-up to read the comics we hadn't read, to kind of dig in with Alex Byrne, the costume designer, and try and conjure this world. We had to build Asgard and the Rainbow Bridge and what this family was.
Thor, Odin's son, my heir,
Alex wanted to design this royal family
my firstborn.
who lived in a palace, and they were gods in one form or another. And so they had to be regal, but also it was an action film and it was a comic book palette, so it was trying to make things wearable, durable, that they had stature and gravitas, but also that they were, So it was really interesting. I remember those many costume fittings and thinking, how are we going to make these horns work? Those initial journey into mystery panels that Stanley drew. Anyone wearing a crown of horns like that is going to imbalance and topple over. So it was like, how do we make this work?
It's a structural event, putting the crown on.
It really is, yeah.
You're king.
Have you always found the secrecy aspect of this thing easy?
Actually, I have.
Because over the years, you've known some things.
I have. I've known many things.
And people have asked you some questions and you've had to...
I've had to keep stum. I quite enjoy that, I suppose. But also, as an audience member, I love not knowing.
Yes.
So I don't get any pleasure out of being the person who sort of ruins an experience.
I've noticed watching these movies too many times, I mean, Loki's really grown.
He really grows on you, doesn't he?
And people have often said how he's the best villain, and I still maintain he is. He, you.
You're a monster.
Oh no. You brought the monster.
What are the individual aspects of Loki's character that you are most proud of bringing to him?
First of all, that's very kind, thank you. I feel so lucky that I got to play this part. And the reason is, I was thinking about it this morning, is that he's an archetype. Every popular mythology has had a trickster. And the trickster's role is to disrupt the status quo.
Are you ever not going to fall for that?
Because he enjoys it. And so he represents the thing we're all afraid of as human beings, which is chaos.
I still need that.
This doesn't have to get any messier.
Of course it does. I've come too far for anything else.
We all need to feel that we live in an ordered universe and therefore create reasonable expectations in order to live.
We have no quarrel with your people.
An ant has no quarrel with a boot.
But we actually know deep down that life is crazy. I mean, chaos.
Yeah.
And the idea that there is a character that is about sort of stoking the fires of that chaos just to see where the joins are and that it's delightful, I think there's something very appealing about that.
You threaten my world with war. You steal a force you can't hope to control. You talk about peace and you kill because it's fun.
I tried to make a sort of internal mantra to always try and enjoy myself, to be having the best time, because he's an embodiment of mischief. So there had to be that twinkle, that even if he was doing something nefarious or treasonable, and sometimes, he's done terrible things, Loki.
Yeah.
That there's some twinkle in it that just wants to see how far he can.
It's incredible where we were at with Ragnarok, where he had in the Avengers tried to take over the world, killed many people, and it's like, oh, what's he like?
Great planning.
How was I supposed to know? Can't see into the future, I'm not a witch.
No? Why'd you dress like one?
Hey.
Yeah, oh, come on, Loki.
He's a cheeky one.
Yeah, he's just a fascinating cocktail.
A true king admits his faults. What of the lives you took on Earth?
A mere handful compared to the number that Odin has taken himself.
Your father...
He's not my father!
So forceful and so charismatic.
Then am I not your mother?
And all of this kind of rage and self-disgust and not belonging and...
Yeah.
You're not.
All that old good stuff. But then on top of it, this sort of delight and charm, and maybe the two together I find interesting.
I told you what's helped with the expression of that is your rapport with Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Not a word.
Now they're following us.
Which is such a delight, and I think it's obviously been
he's
displayed more and more and more.
Now they're firing at us.
Yeah, thank you for the commentary, Loki. It's not at all distracting.
What are your fondest memories of working with him? Obviously, in the first film, you were like, oh, well, took my gig, but fine.
Not once. I promise you. Never, really. I remember meeting him for the first time in England at Kenneth Branagh's house. First of all, like everybody else, was astonished at his general size. He's a very large human being. And I thought, I definitely found the right guy. And he was so warm and open and relaxed and funny and charming.
I'm not hitting it, I'm pressing it. I'm pressing it.
You're not pressing it.
Yes, I am.
So, yeah.
And we did a bit of reading together, and then famously we went off and he was lifting tree trunks and I taught him some yoga. And I remember in that moment we sort of looked at each other and went, this is gonna be crazy, isn't it?
Loki, this is madness.
Is it madness?
I saw it in him and he saw it in me.
Is it?
And we were just friends from that point on. And then the Marvel Universe has grown far beyond any of our expectations. And so sharing that journey has been a sort of, you've got something to look across at and be like, this is insane, isn't it?
Are we recording this? They are. You are in a red cape being really, really camp.
That's how I get in the character, bro.
When Avengers ended, did you know at that point that you might be back? Because by the time Avengers ended, I thought, well, they can't get rid of Loki. They can't.
I thought there might be a Thor sequel. Mm-hmm. And then quite soon after that, I realized there was definitely going to be a Thor sequel, but I didn't know how Loki was going to figure in it. And having played the antagonist twice, I understood, well, obviously at some point I'm gonna just step aside. And there was a version of Thor: The Dark World where there was a kind of conclusive...
That's the end of that then.
That's the end of that then.
Your brother's not coming, is he?
Loki is dead.
Oh, thank God. I'm so sorry.
But that was never gonna happen.
But it was never gonna happen, so it didn't happen then. And then there was another moment with, as you know, Avengers: Age of Ultron.
I interviewed Joss Whedon in 2013 and he swore blind to me that Loki wasn't going to be in any way in Avengers: Age of Ultron. And yet he was, and yet he wasn't.
Yes.
What can you tell me about what didn't appear in that film?
I was part of the dream sequence for the character of Thor. And then in test screenings, audiences had sort of overemphasized Loki's role. So they thought that because I was in it, I was controlling Ultron. And that it was actually imbalancing people's expectations. So Joss and Kevin were like, let's cut it because it's confusing people. He's been an interesting companion, a shadow, over through the last few years in a way.
What moments stand out to you as your favorite Loki moments? Because speaking of Thor: The Dark World, the bit where you become Cap.
Yeah.
Perhaps you prefer one of your new companions, given that you seem to like them so much.
Oh, this is much better. Whoa. Costume's a bit much. So tight. With the confidence, I can feel the righteousness surging.
Hey, you want to have a rousing discussion about truth, honor, patriotism? God bless America!
As you've mentioned, I love my scenes with Chris. In every film, there's a two-hander where we kind of touch on this.
She wouldn't want us to fight.
Fractious, fraternal relationship that they have.
Well, she wouldn't exactly be shocked.
And they're having a sort of conversation. And whether in the middle of a fight on Stark Tower or on Jotunheim or on Svartalheim, there's always a conversation like, do you truly think so little of me? Just maybe it'd be easier if we got on.
Loki, I thought the world of you. I thought we were gonna fight side by side forever, but at the end of the day, you're you and I'm me.
And I think that's relatable because if you've got siblings, there's always a moment in your childhood when your parents are not around and you go, listen, we could keep pushing this, but we should probably just we should probably be friends, right? And you've got your patch and I've got mine, and you've got your toys and I've got mine. And so those scenes with Chris are great.
There's a great bit in the first film where Odin is collapsing on the stairs.
That scene, I feel, was a kind of gift.
Because I'm the monster parents tell their children. You know, it makes sense now why you favored Thor all these years. Because no matter how much you claim to love me, you can never have a frost giant sitting on the throne of Asgard.
Just a beautifully written scene between a father and a son who is learning something very profound about his existence for the first time. And you could actually put that scene in any film and it would be moving. But I feel like it's the cornerstone of my characterization, that scene, because it means I can almost stretch his villainy and mischief to its breaking point, because it's tied to something very, very strong and relatable. And so audiences are always willing to, if not forgive him, they're always willing to give Loki a bit more rope in some way.
And then, of course, there's Puny God, which must have followed you around for ages.
Enough! You are you beneath me. I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
Puny God.
I watched just that. I watched the whole of Avengers again while we were making Thor Ragnarok. Because there were so many echoes of Hulk smashing.
I'm just a huge fan of the sport.
I wanted just to see what we were referencing. I hadn't seen the film for 5 years, and I thought the construction of Loki being Hulk smashed is just so well done. And I remember the experience of making it, which made me feel like an insane person. It was just because there was no Mark Ruffalo, it was just me jumping into trenches in the set, asking Joss Whedon, "Is this really going to work?" "Yes, it is. Jump into the trench, Tom." "Okay, Joss."
Was just already saying you let out a groan of resigned pain? I mean,
yes, Loki lets out a squeal of resignation and despair.
I have seen footage of you maybe cracking up just a little bit.
Yeah, it was the end of a long day of trench jumping.
We've all been there. Trench jumping, it's
Yeah.
a very funny thing. Do you have a favourite online fan, like poster or anything that over the years you've been touched by a fan's interaction to you and Loki?
Remember those blue and red Obama posters?
Yes.
Someone did a mock-up of Loki. Let's face it, he'd be terrible.
Can you?
I mean, unimaginably bad. Yeah.
Entertaining. Not.
Yeah. Lots of plays, apparently.
Yes.
When he's in office.
That was a delight, wasn't it?
A delight, yeah.
Ladies, help!
Somebody help!
Sorry for all I've done. Sorry, hold on. Sorry, I tried to rule Earth. They'd be lucky to have you.
And then Matt Damon, surely must have been a pinch yourself.
It was very weird, yeah, very peculiar.
Built a statue for me. We built a big statue with my helmet on, the big bendy horns. I thought you did here today. Did you do it for him? I didn't do it for him.
Micah and I were both feeding him lines, things that I have said over the course of... And I was, of course, trying to give, like, Matt really witty lines, like, "It'd be funny if you said this, because I said this in Avengers," and Taika would just be like, nah. and giving him much funnier things to say.
What have been your favourite improvised moments over the years?
Get help.
Get help.
Hey, let's do Get Help. What? Get Help?
No.
Come on, you love it. I hate it. It's great. It works every time. It's humiliating. Do you have a better plan?
No.
We're doing it.
We are not doing Get Help. Get Help is genuinely improvised and was called Dead Fish initially.
Mm-hmm.
And Taika came in and was like, "It's like, I think you guys should go look at the guards and so let's play Dead Fish." And it was the idea that somehow as children they'd invented this game where Loki pretended to be a dead fish. But we thought no one would understand that.
Get help! My brother's dying! Get help! Help!
So it became Get Help.
Oh, classic.
It's work.
Run from it. Destiny still arrives.
We're being a bit somber here, but at some point, Loki won't be on the poster, and you will have to say goodbye to him. How are you preparing yourself for that? How does that make you feel?
Goodness. Yeah, it's been amazing. It's been 10 years of my life.
Mm-hmm.
A significant chapter, because I feel like I've worked in the Marvel Universe substantially less than lots of people in this. And I was sort of in at the ground floor or just after. And then as I went off and did other things, I've watched all the other films, often on the opening weekend like everybody else. And I feel this huge rush of pride for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like all these actors I've worked with or not, or seeing people join the universe who I've known from before. And I think, oh, off you go get it. And see the films get braver and more expansive and more profound.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you look at the most recent, if you look at like Black Panther and Doctor Strange, there's some very profound things in those films, and I just feel lucky to be in it, lucky to be part of the whole thing. And I forget sometimes that I was in them myself. It's very weird. I can't explain it, but it does happen. It's been fun coming back in and feeling like a kind of like an old hand or something. I'm not an old hand. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
It's lovely. This is like an exit interview, possibly. But Tom, thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
It's been a real honour, so thank you.
Thank you.